Last week we looked at the account in Luke 22 about Judas and Peter, when Judas betrayed Jesus and Peter denied knowing Jesus. But one of the thoughts that was left on the desk was how the way this was recorded in the Bible is an evidence that the Bible is true, that it's an accurate and trusted account of what really happened. This might not have jumped out at you as the most obvious of lessons, but I like to point this stuff out when we come across it. I told you in the sermon on Sunday that Luke doesn't identify Peter as the guy who drew a sword in the presence of the Roman soldiers and struck a member of the religious leaders' delegation. But the Apostle John, in his account, does. Why the difference? Well, Luke's account was written much earlier than John's, and it likely would have been dangerous for Peter to have been identified as the culprit while he was still active in ministry in the area. But by the time John was written, it didn't matter as much. So John adds the details. Not a big deal, but just a reminder of how human authors wrote perfectly down to the smallest detail, guided by the Holy Spirit. But even more interesting about why I think this reminds us the Bible can be trusted. Peter's name may have been left out of the account about the sword, because the authorities would have cared about that. But where is his name not left out? In this entire account of his denying Jesus. And who would have cared about that? Well, Peter, and presumably the people in the early church. This is what I mean. It's almost unheard of in ancient documents for leaders and heroes to be portrayed in a negative light, particularly when the authors are a part of the same group. But in this case, we have a leader of early Christianity, as well as Matthew, Mark, and John, in every single account, so it's not just a grudge thing with Luke. Here we have a leader, Peter, in the early church, who is put in about the most negative light possible. His failure to stand on the side of Jesus at this most important moment. There's only one reason that it would have been written like this, and that's if it really happened. Because no one on the side of Christianity, particularly someone trying to convince people about how they should be Christians too, no one on the home team would have made this up about one of the home team's star players, unless it were true. So it's just another reminder that we can trust the Bible. And that's what was left on the desk.